My name is D.B. Cooper, and I'm a voice actor. The most recent thing I've done was two extremely disparate characters for DC Universe Online. And one role was Bleeze, the Red Lantern, and the other role was Star Sapphire, and she's of the purple light. So, I mean, literally on opposite ends of the spectrum, as well as opposite ends of the emotional spectrum. I think I'm probably the most well known for the work I did in Bioshock 2, where I was a number of voices you'll find in the voice recorders, as well as the PA system that you hear when everything is falling apart. You know, warning, all cells and bulkheads are sealed until further notice, that kind of thing. So I think that's where most people have probably heard me. I have done a lot of indie games. For instance, there's a game called Pop Bits, which is a little game for little kids, and it's all non-language specific, just these little things. And then there's another one called Go Home Dinosaurs, which is, it's like combination of tower defense and Tetris with characters. And so I was about half of all of the available characters in that, which probably were about a dozen, maybe. Some of the avatars that you play as, and then also all of the little characters, good guys and bad guys. And that was great fun. So with DC Universe Online, I suppose the first most salient character I played was Bleeze, the Red Lantern. And her chief emotion is rage, which was totally in my wheelhouse, okay, when I got that job because of certain life things that were going on for me at the time. I thought, I can really channel this rage. And so she's great fun because I don't know if you've seen the actual comics, but when she's angry in her most explosive anger, the attacking anger, she spews blood from her mouth. So I'm thinking, what does that sound like? And what does that feel like? So not only does she have this really venomous voice to start with, because everything is kind of a controlled means of trying to get the words out and getting, atrocitus, don't forget your rage, this kind of stuff. The other thing that she gets to do is be exceptionally vocal with her attacks. And so I'm thinking of the blood spew, and so you get to be like, with Bleeze, one of the chief things about her character is this real solid diaphragmatic support and control of the way the voice comes out, because she's like the only other intelligent Red Lantern besides the leader of the Red Lantern. She was actually able to keep her personality. So she's able to talk. And so she's got this control of her voice like this, and everything has a certain edge to it like this, and it's deep and it's angry all the time. And that was fabulous fun. Then with this most recent downloadable content, I was also asked to do Star Sapphire. Now the Star Sapphires are in the purple end of the spectrum, and their emotion is love. And so I'm thinking, all right, are you sure you really want me to do both of these? So being able to make a real vocal differentiation in case Star Sapphire is in the same game space as Bleeze, I wanted to make sure that Bleeze was really down here and that Star Sapphire was up here in a completely different space. No, you can't take my ring, things like that. So you want to go to you think you want to go to Zamaron. You'll find that path blocked. So it's that different. So those are the things that I have to think of when I'm doing two roles in one game. Had the same kind of thing happen in Bioshock. Bioshock 2 has lots of voice recorders, and they were really very careful about making sure that there wasn't the same voice actor doing a voice in the same level. It was really very specifically done. So I did a lot of different voice recordings during the session that actually ended up not being used because they those particular voice recorders were in the same level, and they didn't want to have any of that bleed over. So that was actually pretty cool. You knew that when you showed up, it was going to only be you in that level. Well, when if you're lucky, you can get pictures of the character when you get the script. Usually when they send out an audition, if you're auditioning for something, you get a picture of the character and you get sample lines. So they've got concept art of one kind or another. And then when you go into a session, for instance, in Firefall, I'm about a dozen characters in the game Firefall. They'll have some concept art and a general explanation of where this person came from. And after that, you work with the director to find where the vocal archetype is and then roll with that. So for instance, in Firefall, I am I forget, I think she's called, it's like Country Girl or Down Home or something like this. And she was the one, now this is going to get a little loud, okay? I just want to say. Her accent was like this, okay? And she was like, I'm ready to roll. Woohoo! Let's play. All right. I bet that hurt, didn't it? So she was that girl. And so she had those kinds of really raucous, when she would spawn, she would say something funny, or her taunts were awesome, like, you look like your face caught on fire and someone put it out with a brick, things like that. But when she got hit or hurt, she had that same kind of personality. And then there was also this Russian girl, right? So you think you're going to kill me, right? Not if I can kill you first. Go ahead, try. Don't piss me off. Things like that. So these grand Excel spreadsheets with 10,000 lines is what it looks like. You get to work into it in the first few lines with the director, and then the director, thank God for directors. Great directors make you so good when you're doing a game role. They keep you in the space you're supposed to be in. So if you start to drift anywhere, they'll say, let's get back there. Just keep that energy up, or remember that you're talking to your dad, or, any of that kind of stuff, the stuff that helps you. And so that way you actually just get to do your acting. What? When I go to the movies for the movie's sake, the place that I actually get the most, I want to reference that voice is like when I go to the grocery store. And there's a woman who's looking at the apples and she's saying, Marvin, do we really want the green ones tonight? This kind of thing. Or there was this guy, he was in the fish. Sometimes I'll pick up people's cards or get their phone number, because there was a guy, it was so wonderful. He was in the fish department of my local supermarket, and he was talking to his daughter, and he had a voice like this. And it was just great. And he was talking to his daughter. It's like, I think we really ought to have the calamari. And she's like, well, I don't really know if we want calamari tonight, Dad, because I don't feel like fixing it. He's like, I'll fix it myself. So, it's stuff like this. It's like, I want to record you. And there's sometimes I actually do on my phone. Thank goodness the recorders are so good on phones. At my, I live in New England, and at my, one of my local Dunkin' Donuts, oh, can I say Dunkin' Donuts? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. One of my local Dunkin' Donuts, there was this woman with this fabulous accent. And I was second in line, and I thought, I just brought out my phone, I turned on the recorder, and I had it in my hand, and I set it down, and I said, hi, how are you? She goes, I'm just fine, how are you? And so I just listened to her talk, and it was just great. And my phone is just sitting there, it's just a phone, but in the meantime, it's recording the conversation. So, how are you? It's right. All right, you want some milk in that? No problem. So it's fantastic. So that's what I like to do. I actually like to pick up real stuff when I can. Sometimes if I've got the thing that I do that requires a certain kind of research is if I've got a script that requires an upper class English accent. And I know a great deal about doing that accent, but as an American, I don't have all the same pronunciations. There are some things that are the opposite of the way we pronounce things. By opposite, I mean like the word process in American is process. If you're going to be speaking with an English accent, it's process. And if you're saying the word yogurt in English, American English, it's yogurt. So some of the vowel sounds are different. So if I've got something that I need to do with an upper class British accent, I have a friend who lives in Scotland, and I just send him the script and I say, dude, record this for me. So I don't make any stupid mistakes. And so he'll just record it and send it back, and then I'll copy his pronunciations.
Must be a lot of fun to practice.
It is, absolutely, yeah. There are some things which require a lot of exercise, and accents that are able to come off like you're just pulling it out of your pocket, fully formed. That takes practice, and my pedigree is in musical theater. And so when I would rehearse for a role that required a certain either persona or an actual different accent or archetype, I would just do it all the time. And it can drive your family crazy, but, in the meantime, you're learning your accent all right. And you're getting right into character. So if you can speak extemporaneously in your character, then you can do your lines without having to worry about it. And that's the kind of stuff I continuously practice. The kind of voice work that you get, for instance, for commercials, I think the key thing about that is the timing, honestly. And people are going to disagree with me about this, but of course you need to embrace the product, but you have a beginning and an end. Boom, and that's the construct of advertising. It has to fit into a certain space. I work for CBS Radio. I'm a staff announcer for CBS Boston, and that's the thing we're battling with all the time, is making sure we get everything in time. Being able to present and embrace a product or a client in a very short amount of time. That's the job as a voice actor for commercials. There's narration, which allows you to have all the time you need. And so being able to figure out where you want your voice to be for a long period of time. But with games, what you've got is a completely different kind of script. And sometimes it's in the form of a movie script, so you can actually see the context, and very often it's not. Because if you're doing something like a war game where there are shout outs and you're playing as a single character and your character is simply interacting with the environment, you've got these lists of lines to do. So the story is not always present when you're doing lines for a video game. The director fills you in as much as he can. And you have to construct as much of the environment in your mind as you can. If you're lucky, they present you with gameplay. That's really helpful. When you can actually see the gameplay and you go, I've got the environment now. Because then you know what you're dealing with.